Matthew McConaughey is the living example of when you want your life to be.
Hey, all right.
But instead, you just make it awesome. Wanna know what makes him so Matthew McConaughey? Hey, I'm Arch, and I'm gonna tell you what he's made of. Gift from God. Don't you ever call him Matt. When McConaughey's mother noticed her little boy responding to the shortened version of his name, she grabbed him by the shoulder and said,
She goes, don't you ever answer to Matt again. I named you Matthew from the Bible. And I was like, yes, ma'am.
See, Mrs. McConaughey had a good reason to call her precious boy a name from the Bible, which means gift from God. After his parents had their first child, they couldn't conceive again for a while. So after 10 years, they adopted their second child. And 7 years after that, all of a sudden, they were blessed with a miracle. Matthew. Oh, and if you haven't noticed, he's not McConaughey. He's McConaughey, which says a lot about the guy with a pack of crazy stories up his sleeve. A great deal of those emerged around the way his parents raised him. I'll spill the best of it right after we dig into... Alright. McConaughey was actually going to become a lawyer, until the casting director of Dazed and Confused saw him in the bar and offered him the role of Wooderson. That first take on acting made Matthew realize he liked it. While pondering what his character was about, Matthew was listening to the Doors concert. The one where Jim Morrison said in between songs, When McConaughey was sitting in the car in front of the camera, all nervous about the first take ever, it ran through his mind that Morrison was all about 4 things. His car, getting high, rock and roll, and picking up chicks. And he went,
I'm in my car. I'm high as a kite. I'm listening to rock and roll. Action. And there's the chick. All right.
Since then, almost every time the star gives an interview, people want to hear him say it. What other people talk about him, they say it.
All right.
Even his mother says it. She played a great part in what's become of Matthew, by the way. Little Mr. Texas. McConaughey's mom, Mary Kathleen, or K-Mac, who's almost 90 now, is known to have spunk. After all, her father was the bodyguard of Al Capone himself. Kate taught her son to beat self-pity with positivity and to handle it on his own. If he dared to come down in the morning with a bad attitude, K-Mac would send him back saying, get back in bed, get out of bed, and try again. She also taught him to bypass rules. In the 5th grade, the actor couldn't come up with a decent poem of his own for a school contest. So his mom found him a poem by another author and suggested he just sign it as McConaughey. She was like,
do you understand the poem? I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, do you like the poem? I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, then it's yours. So I wrote it, and I won.
Speaking of winning, at 8, Matthew kinda won the title of Little Mr. Texas. After that, Kate pointed to this picture every single morning for years, telling her son proudly that there he was, Little Mr. Texas. Only when McConaughey turned 39 did he recognize what the little plate on the trophy really read.
It does not say Little Mr. Texas, it says runner-up.
Yeah, this A-list actor could have had a whole different life if he had grown up thinking he was just a runner-up. But his mom told him he was a winner. Now imagine that Little Mr. Texas becoming the governor of Texas in his 50s. Have you heard the rumors? The Texans really want him to run for it, especially after he started his own YouTube channel.
I say it's something I'm giving consideration. Absolutely. What an honorable thing to even be able to consider. But that's no further than that right now, sir.
We'll see, Matthew. We'll see. Now let's talk about the little thing that won him the major trophy of his life. Dallas Buyers Club. Of course, Matthew McConaughey had appeared in serious films before this one, yet the audience grew to love him best for playing romantic characters like in The Wedding Planner and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. He could have easily gone on playing parts like that, but Dallas Buyers Club made him realize he wanted more, a challenge, and to make a difference. So he turned down every rom-com offer, even when it was backed up by a multi-million paycheck. In the meantime, no other kind of offer came. The actor had no job for about 20 months. He thought his career was over. And then he made a really bold move, especially for such a famous big screen actor. He agreed to do a TV show. Yes, I'm talking about True Detective, which became iconic by and large thanks to McConaughey's brilliant performance. Matthew was one of the pioneers who showed the rest of Hollywood that the small screen could be cool too. And I dare to say he set the TV show trend for the rest of huge movie stars to pick up to this day. Besides being a game changer for McConaughey, Dallas Buyers Club also brought him an Academy Award. Receiving it, the actor expressed his gratitude for his mother,
Who taught me and my two older brothers, demanded that we respect ourselves. And what we in turn learned was then we were better able to respect others.
The Oscar winner also thanked his dad, and here's why. Like father, like son. It's amazing how Matthew McConaughey can turn any trivial thing into a wild adventure and pull some cool people into it along the way. He learned it from his father, James Jim McConaughey, who constantly made, or made up, shady deals.
He did these things. He would invest in diamond mines in Ecuador. Has his shot with the machete coming out of the jungle. There were fucking diamonds there. It was a scam.
His boys were into it too. Like when Jim won a BMX bike for his middle son by getting him into who pees higher bet.
Go ahead, boy. By a foot. Put the CRX 100 in the back of the truck, got home, my brother's first motorcycle.
In McConaughey's house, being grounded wasn't ever a thing, because time is too valuable to waste it like that. You weren't allowed to go to bed holding a grudge, you just had to sort it out. Also, lying was a no-no, as well as saying I can't. Only I'm having trouble was allowed, as it meant you'd managed it in the end. Finally, Jim McConaughey was a great storyteller, charming as hell, and it kinda sounds familiar. One of his best stories was about how he knew he would die, which was while making love to his wife. And that's exactly how it happened. Jim passed away 6 days into Matthew filming Dazed and Confused. And because his dad taught him resilience, he went back to shooting the next day after the funeral. The future star has always remembered his dad's greatest words on Matthew choosing to act.
Don't half-ass it.
And boy, he never did. What is that? On one evening in 2006, Matthew McConaughey was casually having margaritas with his friend at a club, and he saw a figure almost floating through air from his right to left.
I remember I leaned forward without even thinking about it, and I said, "What is that?" I didn't say who was that. I said, "What is that?"
While he was trying to catch the attention of that beautiful woman, he heard his mother's voice in his ear saying,
"Boy, get your butt up. This ain't the kind of woman you wave across the room." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." I got up.
Then he finally introduced himself to Camila Alves, who made him talk in Portuguese with her for the rest of the night. Elvis knew how to keep her new boyfriend on his toes while they were dating. Like when the Magic Mike star talked her into staying over, she slept in another bedroom. She kicked him out of the room the second time too, and he could tell she meant it. So on their third time, Matthew didn't risk waking the volcano again. Sometime later, when McConaughey realized that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with Elvis, he nervously asked her what he would have to do to lose her.
She looked out, and really composed, she goes, "Oh, that's easy." And then looked over at me and said, "Change."
They've been married for almost a decade now and have welcomed 3 amazing kids. And guess what? The most important thing that holds them together besides love is wife doesn't want to change me. That's a hell of a deal. And I don't want to change her. We respect each other and we're doing the best we can. By the way, not that long ago, Camila kicked her husband out again. Only this time it was out of their house and right into a desert. So that Matthew McConaughey would write his memoirs. Greenlights. For some time, the actor had felt an itch to create the book based on the diary he'd been keeping on for 36 years. Matthew threw it into his backpack along with some food, clothes, and booze and went into a desert. He spent 52 days there with no electricity or other comforts and ended up cherry-picking 25% of all his recollections and compiling them into 300 pages entitled Greenlights. The author describes his book as a love letter to life, in which he shared the times when he saw sorta green lights, signals that he was heading in the right direction. A book from a storyteller like Matthew McConaughey was destined for success. Since Greenlights was published in October of 2020, it's become the New York Times #1 bestseller, and it's still on the list. A great deal of the crazy stories McConaughey packed his book with is about him dealing with the wild. Big Cat Whisperer. Now dig this. Once in Mexico, the gentleman star spent a night in a cage with a fully grown mountain lion. It happened after a small hike he took with a shaman, which included doing peyote. Obviously. First, McConaughey came close to the cage, got the same frequency the feline was surfing on, crawled into the cage, proceeded with a spiritual synchronizing, and...
Cut to 2 hours later, that bitch was laying in my lap purring.
Gotta say, the Oscar winner has a fun history around getting high. Like when he was shooting a weed smoking scene for The Beach Bum, he shared a prop joint with Snoop Dogg. They smoked it up hard to the heels of their feet.
And Snoop goes, "Yo, Moondog, that wasn't prop weed, that was Snoop weed."
McConaughey rapped non-stop for 13 hours after that. As for cats, there was another story with a mountain lion after the Mexican one. It ended with a veterinarian putting 78 stitches in Matthew's forehead. Still, cougars are not his favorite. After coming across a jaguar in Peru 10 years ago, the actor admitted he wouldn't mind reincarnating as one after he dies.
I think I might have been hanging out with Woody when I said that one.
Oh yes, you must not forget about Woody when you talk about what makes Matthew. Brother from another mother. Since playing brothers in 1999 at TV, these two jokesters consider each other to be brothers from another mother. You already know that Matthew is a huge adventurer. Well, Woody is not lagging behind at all. That's why McConaughey describes Harrelson as one of the last wild men walking on Earth. Put these laid-back lads together and you get a real power bromance. Just look at this photo. Look at this.
Oh yeah, that's my brother right there.
The buddies are breaking a sweat while squeezing everything out of life around midnight. The recording of a Metallica concert is roaring in the background. The actual drummer of the band, Lars Ulrich, is there too, just out of the frame, along with a bunch of other iconic rock stars.
Oh, I love it.
Over the years, these two have gained the reputation of troublemakers, the kind that they make movies about, like Hangover. They cause lighthearted mayhem wherever they go.
Let me just say this about Woody. Even if the plan on the night is you're going to the Oscars, it's probably a good idea to take your swimsuit.
Just like his brother, Woody Harrelson is a husband and a father of 3. Sometimes the friends go on joint family vacations.
The kind of guy that if you rent the place, but he shows up before you get there, he will take the master bedroom.
But their bromance is not only about vacays, laughs, and causing trouble. Matthew can always count on worldly Woody wisdom to save the day. Once he asked his bro to share how he deals with the problems and conflicts in his life.
He lowers his head for about 15 or 20 seconds, and he looks back up to me and looks right in my eyes, deep into my soul, and he says, "I just forget about it."
Man, I could go for hours listing all the things that make Matthew McConaughey so Matthew McConaughey. That's why I'd better pull myself together right here, right now, and just stop.
You better stop.
As for you, go check out our top 10 bromances or dive into the McConaughey's love story. And just like Matthew, stay awesome.